Um, good morning, everybody. Oh wow, my voice is a little raspy because I was working on chokes last night at jujitsu. So people were practicing choking me. So forgive my raspy voice. I knew that was going to happen. So I wanted to find out before we get started, or I guess at the beginning of what we're doing, who here attended? Anybody here attend the 5 tactics to thrive in a high demand market yesterday with Brian Gubernick and Sarah Reynolds? I'm sure it was amazing. And we have so many things going on that I don't know if everybody was really aware it was happening. It was at 7 o'clock our time in the morning because they were on Central Time, but those are 2 incredibly amazing agents. And I'm just curious if anybody was able to attend that to learn what some of those tactics were. I'm sure it will be recorded. I know Michelle Belch was there. Oh, Kat, you were on it. So can you share? I'd love for you to share a takeaway. I know they were focusing on 5 strategies. So can you give us one?
Hold on, I can't.
Michelle's coming in too. I know she was there. I'm letting you have to get your notes. I have to give you time to get your notes, right?
Well, I don't know exactly the strategies, but she's talked about how important it was to find your niche in the market. Like, I thought it'd be, 2 major areas where I've lived, but that's not enough of a niche. You need to find out what really you're passionate about, whether it's helping people find their new home or whether it's helping people downsize, that sort of thing, because it's not just about selling and random selling. It's about, helping people, and you have to figure out, I guess it's like figuring out your why, but that really made sense to me. I made a real aha moment for me that that's what I really need to do is figure that out. And I have an idea what it is, but that was really good.
That's great. Thank you, Kat. So focus on specifically what it is that you want your niche to be, what you're passionate about, whether it's geographically or whether it's a certain type of client. That's great. So Stacy, you were on it. Know your value, target your audience. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Anybody else have something to share from 5 strategies training yesterday? And 3, build an agent to agent referral network. That's that's good.
So number 4 was work with new home builders to find off-market properties to list. But that's kind of a weird one over here because we're not like the mainland where there's a lot of individual home builders.
Yep.
And then the most important one, which I'm going to take away from and I usually use, is embrace your sphere.
I like that. I like that terminology, embrace your sphere. We talk about your sphere in your database a lot. That term of embracing, what does that mean? It's that communication, that constant contact. That's great. I like that.
36 touch always works. It's in the MREA.
Thank you, Stace. Okay, I love it. Another thing I wanted to share with you guys. So I was just going through, I know last time I shared some notes from the Entree Leadership Conference I went to, and I've been posting my notes. And right now I'm working on day 3 of the conference, which was a huge day. I mean, John Maxwell alone, I have pages and pages of notes. So I'm consolidating them so that I can share the best takeaways, which I post on my Facebook page. If you guys are on Facebook and you want to check out the notes that I posted from day 1 and day 2. So what I'm working on right now is I'm looking at Dr. John Deloney, and I don't know if you guys know who this guy is. He's an author. He has his own show. He teaches on, I'm just looking at his bio, he teaches on mental health, wellness, relationships, leadership. So what was cool about this guy is his perspective. A lot of it was about leadership and tactical and specific things to do. And it was all about psychology. And I loved it because what he talked about was his title of his talk was called Stories and Bricks. And he talked about how we must deal with the bricks that we have in our backpack, and the bricks coming from, you know, our childhood and things that have made us the way that we are as as functioning adults today, or maybe some of us are functioning, some of us not as well. So a saying that he had was, our childhood biography becomes our adult biology. And it was a series of things of how you deal with the bricks in your backpack. What do you do to get them out and just get rid of them so that they don't come back and they're gone permanently, and they don't color or filter or in a negative way affect what you're doing and how you function and where you want to go. And then he also talked about how you deal with other people's bricks, because he said to have a process for dealing with the bricks that others hand you, because they will. And he said that you can't own the consequences of anybody else's life. There were a lot of really amazing, like, one-liner takeaways like that were incredibly profound. So I will be posting that on my Facebook page and sharing those with you. In fact, I can share them I'll share them on our Keller Williams page too. This one is just so great because it's really, I think everything that people talked about is applicable to anybody. However, this really doesn't matter like what you do or whether you consider yourself a leader. Everybody's a leader in their own life, but whether you consider yourself a leader of like an organization or other people, everybody has relationships, and those relationships affect us, and the way that and then what experiences we have affect us as well. And sometimes we don't like the way that those experiences have affected us, and we know that there's things that we want to change and do, we just don't really know how to do it. So John Deloney, if you want to look him up too and follow him, and check him out, it's DELONY, and then John, JOHN, Dr. John Deloney. So check him out. Any thoughts on that? Has anybody done any other studying in regard to what he's talking about there in terms of the stories that we have and the bricks that we carry and getting rid of that? Or does anybody have anything that they do to help them not allow those things to weigh them down in their lives?
Well, good morning. I have a
Good morning.
couple of cents to throw into that. And one is that if we are victimized, which, so many of us have been in various forms and formats, we don't have to have a victim mentality. So we can step out of the victimization and empower ourselves through choice of mind and will and spirit. And so that's really empowering. And also, which is just a sidebar to that, and what you just shared is about having healthy boundaries, defining our internal core values, and being able to communicate them and uphold them and move forward in life personally and professionally.
Great. Yes. Thank you. I love that, Michelle. And what you said the first time, another statement that he made was, don't be a martyr, choose optimism and joy, right? You have a choice of how you want to, guide yourself and then be perceived. Okay. So yes, Keone.
If you're not studying some sort of behavioral profiling or behavior, nonverbal cues, you're missing some strategies on negotiations for sure. So there's a good book everybody is talking about. It's a real easy read. I can't remember who wrote it. I have it. I gotta look for it. Anyway,
it's called Everybody.
Yeah. And that's
you and I were talking a little bit about that yesterday.
And if you're not reading stuff like that, even a little bit, you're missing out.
Thank you, Keone. Yeah, and it helps to understand ourselves a little bit better too, to understand others. Okay, let's talk a little bit about real estate specific stuff. I wanted to share something that I read from a guy who I follow on Facebook. His name is Brad Kiger. I've mentioned him before because he does post a lot of great stuff, Kiger. And he is he's one of the top agents in the company. He was a rookie when, when he started and was a rookie, he became a rookie of the year, his first year. He's, a big fan of Bold and a lot of the KW systems and models that he follows. And then he grew and led his own team, and then he became team leader. Now he's kind of back in sales, which he does at a really high level. And he said something that I thought was really cool, which was a different way to look at your business. And we talk a lot about, and when we coach you guys, those of you who are in different levels of coaching or you have your own coach, sometimes you focus a lot on metrics, right? Because it's measurable and it's easy to set your goals to be something that's measurable, because you can work backwards and you can quantify it and you can create action plans around it. So it makes sense that we do that. And sometimes we can get really caught up in that. And one of the things that Brad said was, I'm just going to read you what he wrote, which was, many of you may be shocked and some of you not so much, that I have no clue how many homes I have under contract or how many homes I've sold in 2021. Yes, it's on a spreadsheet, but my admin tracks it and I don't really pay much attention to it. He says, what I do look at is a very detailed personal and business profit and loss statement. I look at it every month. I look at my net income target and determine if I have a revenue or expense problem or both. I look at expenses individually and track ROI for each expense. Once a month, I look at GCI coming in and projected expenses so I can get in front of a problem, not just react. It works for me to focus on the profit, not the sales. My second year in real estate, I sold 12 homes in a month and found out that later, after starting a P&L, that I made $4,800 that month. That's $400 profit per house. So he said, focus on netting. He said, focus on your profit and loss. So, and I think this is a good conversation to have at this time too, because we are, we have our wealth group that we're meeting with, and a lot of what we're doing is focusing on our net income in terms of our lives. And that is an area of focus, and what you focus on expands, right? So I'm not saying don't focus on your sales, because you set goals around how many homes you want to sell, or you might set, or how many people you want to help, or whatever your goal is, you want to follow that. What is most important is having a business worth owning, right? So because we can be selling and we can be doing the activities and we might not have a return on investment for what we could be spending more in advertising. So focus on your profit and learn how to look at that model of the millionaire real estate agent, and how to have a profit and loss statement. If you don't have one, again, go to the wealth group. So the next wealth building group or wealth building meeting is June 21st, which is Monday. What time is that, Dawn? Oh, somebody just posted that. Thank you. 4 o'clock our time. Okay. And that's going to be focused on evaluating rental property. However, one of the things that we do is really talk about financials. And if you need help with, how to do your P&L, what I'll do is, I'm going to have Christy. Ray, can you get in touch with Christy to teach a P&L class? She said she was going to start doing that monthly, and we haven't done it yet. So we'll have Christy teach a basic P&L class for you guys, so you can learn how to, and some of you may already do this at a high level, but I think a lot of people really don't pay too much attention to it. And I think the more that we focus on that, the more we're going to be able to increase our income and focus on that. I just thought it was really interesting that he said that, and he doesn't, again, it's not an excuse to not focus on the metrics of the sales side of your business. It just means what's really important about why we're doing what we're doing. Right?
Is it frozen?
Have a business worth owning. Nope. Am I frozen? You can see me, right? Okay. The next thing I'm going to let Ray, actually I have a couple more things, but I'm going to let Ray, I know Ray, you wanted to talk about Linktree, right?
Yes, I'm so freaking excited.
Okay. Yay.
Excuse me, let me take my mask off. So I know a lot of times with all the different communications, the week at a glance, the intranet calendar, it's sometimes hard when you're trying to join a meeting to have that link or registration link handy. And so we've kind of emulated Oahu in putting together one centralized location that's available on your phone or your desktop where you can click to either join or register for meetings as they're coming. So let me show you what this looks like. Sorry, I should have prepped this, but I did not. So I don't know if you can see this, but here's our logo. Here's just some introductory information. And then each one of these boxes that you see is going to be the meeting. So this one, for example, is the meeting we're in now. So I'm just going to do a quick 2-minute if you guys want to pull your phones out. I'm going to post the link here just so it's very clear, but it's linktr.ee/KWRM. Don't worry, you won't have to remember that because we're going to basically put it on your desktop like an app. So right now you can see just this little box on my desktop. It just goes to the link tree. When I want to join a meeting, I just click that button and I'm in. So if you're following along, get to that location and you should see what I'm seeing on my phone. So I'll give you a second for that. And then depending on your device, there's going to be a share button. Sometimes on Android, I think it's like 3 dots. And then what you're going to do is find add to home screen. Oh, it's really hard to see that. I apologize. But there's a little menu button right at the bottom that says add to home screen. And what that does is it basically creates a shortcut on your desktop. So now anytime you're trying to get into a meeting or register for a meeting or just curious what's happening this week for trainings, you can just open that link on your phone. And then I'll continually update the registration and join links. And then for those of you who have already looked at that, I'm adding a feature where it clarifies whether it's a registration or a join, so you're not accidentally joining Zoom meetings. But if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call at the central office or shoot me an email and I'm happy to walk you through that. But this should hopefully help us kind of streamline that last minute getting into meetings. And if you have any feedback or questions, again, just shoot me a call or email.
Thank you, Ray. Yeah, that was to help people that were like having trouble finding links to stuff. And that way you can just have it go right in. Obviously it's in your phone, although you can copy that and put it, I mean, if you want to send it to your computer, you can do that. The other thing that I like about it is oftentimes we don't remember, okay, wait, is that training today? And you can just look every day and say, oh, these are the trainings happening today, or these are the trainings happening this week. Great. Thank you for taking the initiative on that, Ray. That's awesome. Okay, I wanted to give you guys an update on the transaction assistant because last week I said that we were going to get you an email no later than Monday, Friday, or Monday with instructions on how to utilize the transaction assistant, and she was going to start yesterday. I had a training with them with the transaction assistant and the 2 new transaction coordinators that are in training on a Monday, and they're doing an amazing job and they're not quite ready yet. And what I don't want to do is roll them out to you and have the TA start and then not be able to maintain the level of files that we have. And so we're still in training. Let's put it that way. I mean, the goal is that as soon as they're ready, we'll roll them out and then we'll be killing it. And you guys will be super stoked because we'll be able to get everything organized and it'll be great. And same thing with your TCs. I'm going to talk to the ALC, the Agent Leadership Council, on Thursday. So heads up, you guys that are on the ALC, about working with them on some of your files and maybe letting them as a test, you know, kind of oversee them and how they do and giving them feedback. So we are sure that they're kind of getting everything done that we need them to do. I just wanted to give you an update. We're still working on it once it's rolled out. Again, I don't want to roll it out and have it be a mess. So the good news though, again, is they're doing an amazing job so far and they are superstar talent, meaning the people that we have on board they're going to be phenomenal. They just, again, we just need to get them up to speed on what they're doing and the training. If you guys have any suggestions or you have any connections, even if you have a transaction or you know somebody who does transaction coordination somewhere else in another state, that's really good. Like right now, part of the training we have them going through is with this incredible compliance officer out of the Chicago office who handles like 200 files a day. a day. So she has incredibly efficient systems. So we're learning her back end systems that we're going to utilize for you guys. So if you know anybody that would be great to help give them some more resources and training, we're looking for that. Otherwise, we've got some, they're working with Rob, they're going to work with Carrie, they're working with Christy. So just a heads up there. The goal is the rollout is now pushed to July 1. So that's the goal, 2 more weeks to get them ready, because they've only had 2 weeks of training. And then again, on Monday, I was like, okay, we're on track. And then, so what you will be getting is an email with instructions, which Michelle and I worked on. We think we've clarified it, made it as easy as possible for you guys to be able to basically just send your documents to the transaction assistant, and that transaction assistant will upload them into your opportunity in command. So the documents are there, and then they'll also work with your transaction coordinator if you have somebody else. Okay. Another, do the brokers have anything? Michelle, do you have any updates? I know I sent you an email this morning. I'm not sure if you had a chance to look at it. If you haven't, that's okay. We don't need to talk about it today. We can wait till next week. It's regarding trainings. Did you get that email?
No, I haven't been in my
Okay.
email this morning. I was on with clients before this call.
Okay.
All right, I do have a couple quick things I did want to touch on. State of Hawaii has ended their restrictions on inter-county travel between the Hawaiian Islands. That happened on Tuesday this week. So there is no restrictions to travel amongst the islands. They've also extended the quarantine exemption to domestic travelers who are fully vaccinated with at least 1 shot received in Hawaii. So if you're fully vaccinated and you got those shots in Hawaii, you can fly back into Hawaii and you are not subject to quarantine. So that's new loosening and moving in the right direction. Excited about that. The next item I wanted to touch on was that we are going to be moving to more in-person events and trainings in our office. So Lisa and I are working on that. We'll start with some hybrid trainings, but we will have a limited number of people that can come into the office for individual trainings, the group meetings, and it'll be somewhere between 16 and 20 people. So we're looking at that. Excited about that. I wanted to remind everyone that July 1 is the date that RAM will no longer offer the stock condo photos. So we talked about that last week, but just another reminder, you will have to shoot your own exterior or aerial photos for any new condo listings. Now, if you're using a stock photo today, you're fine. But starting July 1, if you load a new listing, you will be having to do that yourself. Here's an item for the Big Island. I'm trying to be mindful and check all of our islands since we now have agents also on Kauai and Oahu. The Hawaii County Council on Tuesday unanimously advanced updating their building code. So they are voted to update to the 2018 code. This is a national code. And they have 2 more votes at the full council to pass that. But that means you'll be going from the 2016 code to the 2018 code. Why is that important to us? Well, it will come into issue when you have appraisers and inspectors do your initial inspection and or your appraisal, where they're calling out newly required items under the 2018 code. For example, in an inspection, you might have a inspector call out that, hey, these steps are of such a height that they require a hand railing. I have to look at the specific changes between the 16 and the 18 code, which I will brief the Big Island agents on at a future time. But those kind of things are how we get impacted, where they do the inspections or they do the appraisal, and now they're like, oh, you need to update that electrical panel, or you need to update the type of piping used on certain plumbing fixtures. And so it does impact us, and we need to be aware of that and mindful. Okay, let me see what else I had. Mary Monarch is going to go on in April for Big Island agents who do marketing around the Mary Monarch Festival. It will be a hybrid event this year. No marketplace, but they will have live dancers in the stadium in April. And they will be quarantining before they start. So that's exciting. Maui County, our county charter is under review right now. It's an 11 citizen panel. If you want to have impact into all things that the county charter covers, go online to mauicounty.gov and you can get information on attending a charter meeting or giving feedback. And that's all for this morning.
Awesome. Thanks, Michelle.
You're welcome.
So yeah, that reminded me, Keone put the book in the chat box so one of the other trainings we were talking about doing, because we always look at and evaluate, okay, where's the need based on where we're at in the market and what the agents are struggling with, what you guys are struggling with. And one of the things that he was talking about that we discovered is the process and working with the buyer or the seller in terms of how they think and specifically closing them. So like there's a lot of people out showing properties to buyers right now. They may not be effectively guiding them into the funnel to get them to put an offer on a property well enough, or, you know, there can be an improvement on that, or how you're taking a listing. So it's going to be closing tactics and closing strategies, which we're going to coordinate. So Ray, maybe make a note on that. We can talk about it at the next meeting when we want to set that for. So the two trainings that we don't have right now will be the P&L that we're going to add as a P&L training for you guys, and also this closing strategies training. And then if there's anything else in particular you really want to have, I mean, we have a lot of those ongoing trainings through us and through KWRI, let us know. And I mean, the other thing we've obviously been very focused on is taking listings because of what's going on in the market. So I've been talking to some of you about the strategies to be able to take more listings. Another thing that, and then Crystal, to answer your question, I'm pretty sure based on what Michelle just said, if you're going inner island, you're not going to have to show them anything. You're just going to fly inner island and it's going to be like old times, back like old normal times.
Yeah.
So a team leader that I know in our region was at Keller Williams Realty International, KWRI in Austin. I think it was last week. And she was at a pretty intimate group with Gary Keller and Carl Liebert, who were talking about the future of the company and where it's headed. And so I wanted to share some of the cool things with you that she shared or was able to share. And there's more information. It's just we have kind of the tip of the iceberg on this, so you have a sense of what's happening. So Gary said, she said, or Joanna, who wrote these notes, said an overwhelming theme I heard was the importance of vision, culture, relationships, connectivity, and past track record. She said, when asked about where Keller Williams will be as a company in 5 years, Gary said, obviously still the largest real estate company in the world, although even growing to 250,000 agents worldwide. Right now we're at 180,000, and then 600 to 700 offices, which is actually less than what we have now. So what he wants to focus on is consolidating the current offices that Keller Williams has so that they can focus, be more focused on the ones that are really, really working and functioning at a high level. And he wants them all to have that high level of standard and make sure that they're providing the best quality of service for the agents. And if they're not, he's going to consolidate them with other offices that are, or they're going to actually release a lot of, not a lot, but they're going to release some offices that might not be meeting that, you know, that standard or that threshold. And then 15% market share in the US, which is a very high level considering the amount of homes that are sold. And then some of you know, some of you may not know or even care, but that Gary formed a holding company called KWX. And some people were making the assumption that that holding company was formed so that the company could go public. And I'll say, so he addressed that, and here's what he said. He said, I'm getting prepared for what's next. But when most people go one way, I go another. And so some real estate companies are going public. So the idea is, oh, what's his other way, right? He's a very creative outside the box thinker. What's even better than that for our people? He said, you can always count on him to stir it up, right? He explained a chain of events that led to his realization that forming a holding company was necessary. So what I heard about this, and I wanted to share it with you because it's very interesting and it applies to what we deal with when we work with buyers. Have you ever worked with a buyer that had a lot of money and yet they were so complicated on paper, or they weren't able to show something in a traditional way on paper that they couldn't get a loan, right? You might have taken them to get a portfolio, or they might have done something differently, but right. So Gary was in this position. He actually has never borrowed money in the history of Keller Williams, with the exception of when he started it in the 80s and he borrowed $40,000. And that was all he's ever borrowed. And he's been very adamant, we're a debt-free company. He wants all the franchises to be debt-free, and that's part of the model. So he actually went for the first time to borrow money during COVID, not because he needed it. And he's a billionaire, by the way. He wanted to make sure that his businesses and his people were taken care of, and that they had money that he could infuse into the businesses if it was needed, right? He didn't want to have to fire people. He didn't want to. So he went to borrow money, and essentially that's what they told him. Everybody said, we don't even know how to handle this. I mean, obviously he has money personally, but he wasn't able to show on paper, because remember, we're a private corporation, right? We're not publicly traded. So as an organization, they're used to looking at somebody's, if they're a publicly traded company and everything's published, they have all of that documentation. Well, we didn't have it. So they suggested, well, what you could do is form a holding company, and then you would be able to borrow money. And so that is actually why he formed KWX. It wasn't for the purpose of potentially going public. It was because he was in a better position to borrow money. Now that led to conversations about what's the best thing to do for the future of the company and our people. So anyway, so he said that he assured that he would do whatever it takes to help people of our organization have the best life possible. It may not be what we're expecting or thinking in a traditional sense. And he referred everybody to page 91 of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent Model, where he tells the story about the guy who invented the curveball in baseball and how it literally threw a curveball into a traditional game. And he said, she said, I haven't ever seen him so excited and charged up. And so there may be things coming, and he's really assessing what is going to be the best next move for everybody in the organization. He said the agent is the most important person. He reiterates that all the time in the consumer's buying and selling process. And KW's focus is how do we provide the tools, et cetera, that an agent needs to connect better with their clients forever. Helping agents have the most profitable business helps agents live the best life possible. Mo Anderson was also there, who is in charge of the culture of the company, and she's a co-owner of KWRI. And she said, everything in the world can change, but the culture of our company cannot, unless we want to enhance it, right? That's the only change that we want to see. So we need to keep what makes us special as a company as a first priority, and to be part of a company that has a stated belief system and mission, vision, values. Belief and perspective is an honor. We'll continue to enhance our culture through empowering our people. So the action plan that she left with was to continue to teach people how to think, right? That's one thing we do really well, is how do we think bigger? How do we think better, and live better lives and have the best of both worlds, and continue to be, physically enhanced and virtually present and physically enhanced. And then the growth of the business internationally, he talked about too as well. There's a lot of notes. Okay, so those were the most important points that I want to give you. And, how do we stay number one as a company, and what do we need to do differently? And those are the conversations that they talked about. So that's pretty cool. And it's good that they had a mix of people in the room that had various levels of experience. Joanna is a team leader in our region. She's been for 12 years. So she definitely had a high level of experience. Any thoughts about that? Any questions, comments, anything that you guys have read or seen? Is that exciting? Can't wait to see what's next, and how we can take that. So my job is to take whatever comes down, and our leaders' jobs is to take whatever that is, that Gary's vision is, and then we implement it with you guys at a local level. So what are those things that you need to be able to do what it is that we're talking about creating for your life? Michelle.
I know he's been really peppered by people, Brad Inman and others, to talk about, is he going to take the company public? I could see him diversifying the company into an agent-owned company, where he wouldn't take it public per se to the open public, but he might take it public to within our agent base or those agents that have been with us, X period of time. I could see him doing something like that because for him, it's always about value to the agent, which is why we have profit share. And I feel like this would be like the next iteration of profit share or income stream. So I could see him doing something like that, which there are many employee-owned businesses. And we would be the first real estate company that was employee-owned if he diversified. I could also see him keeping it just right where it is, which is privately owned and debt-free, and coming up with some unforeseen models. So I'm excited to see what's next.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think I love that they were looking at it and now he has all of these experts around him. So it'll be really interesting to see. I mean, it's just trusting that whatever it's going to be is going to be the best for his people, because that always drives his decisions, right? It's never selfish. Okay, a couple quotes I want to leave you guys with. This was a great one. I know that sometimes, especially with what's going on right now, I mean, there's some great blessings to what's happening in the market because people are working and there's a lot of people that want to buy homes and a lot of qualified buyers. And then there's a lack of inventory. And then there's also weird stuff that comes up for frustration. There's this evening. There's some frustrations that I've heard that have come up with people who are not able, like if you're not able to get your client in to a deal, or you may have to be writing more offers to get one person into a contract than you've ever had to do before, right? Because of the lack of inventory. So this is a great quote that I saw that actually Chad Shimabukuro posted that I wanted to share with you regarding frustration. I can get it up here. Give me a sec. Share screen. Here we go. It's a Tony Robbins quote, and I loved it. I thought it was great. The message of frustration is an exciting signal. Think about it that way, right? This is all about mindset and perspective. It means that your brain believes you could be doing better than you currently are. That's all frustration is. Okay, so when you get frustrated, it's a good reminder for me. When you get frustrated, think of it, okay, that's awesome. That's an exciting signal. One of the great quotes that Jim Rohn gives when there's something that you don't understand or it frustrates you, he says, isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? So if you look at things that way, that will help you. So that was a fun quote. And then there was one, what was the other quote that I wanted to share with you guys? That was it. Okay. Yeah. I know what the other one was. This was one somebody posted about, this is my VA. So this is another way that virtual assistants that are great can change your world, which my VA is incredible. And she just does random things. Like she sent me flowers. She was just so sweet. And then she posted, so she knows that I time block lunch. I time block everything, right? Because if it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist. So I time block my lunches and when I'm going to eat and when anything personal and all my work stuff and all my tasks. And so in my lunch block, I happened to click on it when open it, which I don't normally do. I just see it. And she had put a quote in there, which is repeated every single day in my lunch, because sometimes it's a challenge for me to, make sure I'm taking care of myself and getting that like convenience versus healthy choices. And so she wrote, your diet is a bank account. Good eating habits are good investments. And she just put that in my calendar randomly. Didn't even tell me it was in there. I happened to see it. So, I mean, those kinds of things, again, the people in your life that can change your world. But I thought that was a great quote. And for you guys to remember that if you have some of the same challenges I may around making sure that you're always making healthy choices every day. That's what I got for you. Anybody have anything else that we didn't cover that you told me you wanted to talk about today? Compliance, mastering compliance and command. Yes, we have ongoing trainings on that. Thank you. The next one is June 23rd. Anything else? Tell me something good, then we'll go. I know some of you are signing off. Tell me something good.
Hi, Michelle. Nice to see you there.
Hey, nice to see you. I'm on the west. I'm on the caravan right now. I'm double dipping, so I'm on 2 Zooms.
Awesome. Okay, what's something good? Is that what it is, that you're on caravan also? Tell me something good. Somebody.
Yeah, no, things are great. I've been working really hard and in a great coaching program and generating some great buyer leads and listing leads. And yeah, it's going well.
Very cool. Thanks, Kevin.
Awesome. All right, who put something in escrow this week for the last 7 days? Raise your hand.
Me.
Awesome. Miranda, Andy, great, you guys. Congratulations. Okay, well, have a wonderful rest of the day and rest of your week, and we'll see you guys soon. Thank you.
Thank you.